Hi, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games. I'm here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in a classic and one of the best-selling modern board games of all time, The Settlers of Catan. This is the Cities and Knights expansion. I don't actually have the base game. I just bring this whenever we end up playing Settlers, which isn't very often. I must admit that I don't play this game all that often anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not worth talking about it, because it's a huge game, huge hit, and there's a reason that I think people keep coming back to it time and time again. And I think that reason, and this is tied to basically two different mechanisms that are tied to the same thing. There's basically no downtime in the game at all. And the reason for that is twofold. The first is the aspect of trading in the game. Even when it's not your turn, you're engaged in what other players are doing. Mostly the trading part of it, because they might have some resources that you want, they have some resources that you have. And so there's always this ongoing negotiation between players. You also have to kind of pay attention to see where people build, so you can divert your strategies if someone builds in a place where you wanted to go. But a lot of it is the trading. The other part, and this is probably the particularly brilliant part about Settlers, is this idea that the best things happen to you when it's not your turn. And in that I'm referring to the rolling of the dice and the collecting of resources. You are always engaged when someone else rolls the dice, and you're always excited because something else good is happening to you, even though it's not your turn. You haven't done anything, and yet the things that you built on the board are reaping the benefits of your hard work. So you feel good every time that happens. This is really, really brilliant. And it's actually the first time I became aware of that mechanism was through a dissection by a game reviewer about Monopoly. Monopoly is a game I haven't played in years, but it's one of those games where the best things happen to you when it's not your turn, because you're always excited when people land on your property and have to pay you. So Settlers, I think, takes that to a much higher level. Even though there's a lot of luck involved in those dice, it's still, you're constantly engaged, you're constantly excited by that die roll, and you feel good when your numbers come up. So that is my favorite game mechanism of Settlers. I'd love to hear, I haven't found many games that are like this, despite the wealth of games out there, and that a lot of designers use Settlers as their first example to get into game design. I think maybe they look over this pretty obvious aspect of, so if you have any other games where the best things happen to you when it's not your turn, to keep you engaged and to keep that downtime really low, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Thanks for sharing.